The first question, what is Buddhism belief on organ donation? There are two perspectives to look at organ donation. According to the Buddhist teaching, after a person has just passed away, his consciousness may still remain in the body, the alaya consciousness. Because when a person passes away, all his sense organs, they don't work. The eyes, no more sight, ears, no more sound. All this don't work anymore. But the alaya consciousness, which is the banking consciousness, is still there. It may stay there for, according to some Buddhist teaching, is maybe as long as 8 hours. That means the alaya consciousness still stays in the body, ready to leave, but has not left yet. In the first 8 hours. After the first 8 hours, many sutras says that the consciousness would have left the body completely already after 8 hours. Everything about his life is all stored in there. Because when a person passes away, it does not mean that nothing exists anymore. That person is never, it's disintegrated and no more of him. No. It's just, his body passes away, his form change, but his consciousness still leaps into the next path of reincarnation. Still leaps into the next path of reincarnation. It's just like the example I gave earlier, that it's like this body is an apartment. You rent this apartment for your lifetime, and when the lease expires, you leave. Then you roll into the next apartment. But the person who lives in that apartment and who takes another apartment is still the same person. That same person changes apartments all the time. Sometimes a low-level apartment, sometimes a 6-star apartment, 7-star apartment, sometimes a 1-hour apartment, depends on your karmic force. You're poor, sometimes you're a poor man, you're a rich man, you're a healthy man, you're not an unhealthy man. It all depends on what you've done. So, that person changes apartments all the time. So when a person passes away, he's ready to roll into the next body, but he hasn't left yet. That's an alaya consciousness. The alaya consciousness has feelings. And if you operate on the person who passes away and take his organ out immediately, he may feel the pain. Particularly, I don't know, I have to ask the medical doctors, whether they apply anesthesia to the person, the dead person taking out organ. I don't know. If they apply anesthesia to it, to take it out, maybe that's okay. But if he does not do that, the person who passes away feels very painful if that organ is taken out from him. And if it is painful, he cannot talk, he will be confused, he may be angry, he may feel extremely discomfort, and he may, for that reason, he may roll into a bad karma. He will roll into the hell realm, the ghost realm, or the animal realm. That may affect his elevation. If you're a bodhisattva, you really care for people, and you're ready to donate your organ, and you don't really mind if you suffer the pain. You're willing to sacrifice that for other people's benefit. You don't mind if you suffer the pain. You're a bodhisattva. You are someone who wants to help others even though you suffer pain. That's a very a bodhisattva, an enlightened being. If you have that character, that high profile of character, it's of course it's extremely good, because you can even sacrifice every part of the body for the benefit of others. It's a very high compassion. You just suffer pain maybe for 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours and 4 hours, but you're willing to undergo the pain. Are you willing to? If you're willing to, you're really a bodhisattva rendering the most sincere and the highest compassion to someone who is suffering. And you have a lot of merits in it. So which one do you want? It's up to you. Amitabha, Venerable Quan Chang, for the past Saturdays, Venerable has mentioned release life, sea and land. Is there any chance of releasing life in Richmond, Vancouver, as I would like to participate? It has been quite difficult. They don't allow people to release life into the sea. They have regulations. Maybe that's for environmental reasons, even though you have a good objective. They don't look at it that way. They thought that sea animals can be killed for food. The seal can be killed for their skin. They find out that what you're doing, that act of what you call compassion, it's contrary to common belief. Common belief is that fish can be slaughtered and eaten. Seals can be slaughtered for the skin. So they don't really advocate, they don't really encourage people releasing sea lives. And they're also afraid that you release the wrong sea lives into the wrong waters, which is quite true in some cases. If you don't have knowledge in releasing lives, which a lot of people don't have that knowledge, they release Australian lobsters into Richmond waters. The water pressure is not the same, the temperature is not the same, the location is not the same. So you're not releasing them for life, you're releasing them for death. So you really need to have a lot of knowledge in doing it. When we do release of sea lives and land animals in China and Hong Kong, we really make a lot of preparations. For example, if we're releasing snakes back to the wood, because in China, people catch snakes for eating. They like to eat snakes. Some snakes are poisonous, some snakes are less poisonous. So if we release the snakes, we have to release these snakes far into the mountain where there's no household, no people living in there. So there's a lot to be studied. And when you're releasing sea animals, sea lives, you have to make sure that when you transport sea lives from the place where they kept them to where the sea is, there's a distance. You need to have oxygenated tank to put oxygen in the tank so that they won't die. If you just dump the fish in the water tank and the transportation is 1 or 2 hours, by the time they get to the shore, they're already dead. So you really have to have a lot of knowledge in doing it. And in Vancouver, some Buddhist organizations apply for release of sea lives, and I think they have been given permissions to release sea lives at the shore close to Pan Pacific. Yeah, there's a place, a pier, quite close to the Pan Pacific Hotel, where they barricade it. They have chains. Stop people from going into there, and they allowed you to go there to release sea lives. But it's not that deep. And also, since they restrict the release of sea life to one location, that location becomes a rendezvous, becomes a gathering place for seagulls and seals. I've been there once, releasing sea animals, and I found a lot of defects in it. The first one, they bought cod and salmon from Chinatown, from the tank, from the oxygenated tank. They pick from the tank. And then they say, okay, 10 o'clock, we will be there waiting for you, and please transport this tank, and please ship it over, and we'll be there waiting for you. And some people say, well, Can we go into your truck and go with you? No, you don't have to, because we do everything for you. It's not convenient for you to get into our truck. We have insurance liability. You can't get into our truck. So you go home, and then we do it for you. So everybody go, all the monks and nuns go to the pier and wait, and here comes 2 trucks transporting all the fish with tanks. And when I look into it, they only have it 1/4 filled with water. And the mouth of the fish is almost touching on the water surface, and they can't even breathe. They're extremely careless in handling fish, because they thought this fish would be they're ready to be killed anyway. Now you're releasing them. They don't care. They just put the fish in there and dump some water, and that's it. The water is not even deep enough for the fish, for the 100 fish. They crowd all the fish together, and they don't put oxygen to it. So by the time it takes about half an hour when they transport the ship to the Pan Pacific location, most of the fish is already fainted. And then they release it and then I said, how come you don't have water in it? Oh, no, we do it every time like this. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, they live. They just survive. I said, how can it survive? I was quite mad at them. I tried it once, and I said, I will never do it again like that. I said, how can you say that you put so much fish in it, and you only have not more than half a tank of water full? Oh, no, don't worry. We do it every day. So they release it, and when they're releasing it, some of the fish cannot go down. They're still floating, half fainted, still floating. And some even flow and swim back. And then I said, no, this fish can't even get into the water. They're floating. And they're floating and swimming in our direction. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. They're coming back to say thank you. Wow, you don't cheat me. They're coming back to say thank you? Yeah, they can swim out. They want to come back. They have a reason. They want to say thank you to you. I'm not a kid, you know. You don't talk to me like that. And then we wait till for them to swim down, and some of the fish survive. And then all of a sudden, all the seagulls come, and they're picking their best pick. And then the sea lions come. They're raising their heads like that onto the water. I could see a few of them raising onto the head of water, and sometimes they just disappear down there. I think they are satisfying their breakfast. They're eating the voluptuous breakfast. So how can you release sea lives in that location? Never again. I was not happy. I said, I don't want to deal with you again. You're not doing it right. The tank should be oxygenated. It should be filled with water. And you don't even know whether the fish is from local waters. If they're not from local waters, say if they're from Asia, how can you release Asia fish into North American waters? Australian lobsters, Russian what crabs? What do you call that crab? Big crab. What do you call that? Alaskan crabs. How can you catch Alaskan crabs right in the north and release it in Richmond? You can't do that. So to do charity work, you really need wisdom. And you don't say, oh, if I release this fish, I will live long. I release this fish, it's good, but you're not doing it right. So you want to release in Vancouver? Well, I released, a second time I released sea lives. It's the time when I actually rented a yacht going out. It's a big one, going right into the ocean, into the sea, and released it. A lot of crabs I released, local crabs, into the water. So, if you're interested, why don't we take up this project? You try to find out for me, where is the best location for releasing sea lives? What kind of fish can be released there? What are the local fish? We should release local fish. All those fish that would be slaughtered if you don't release them. You don't tell them that you're going to release crabs. Say, I want to release 500 crabs. Can you catch them for me? They're catching it for you, catching the crabs for you. If you don't release them, they don't have to catch them. You need wisdom to do this kind of thing. I started release of sea life and animals 8 years ago all by myself, and now I have more than 100 people in China following the same practice. And they are very strict in their selection, in the process of doing it.